Welcome to Wild, Women in Lending Determined to Make an Impact. I'm your host, Robyn LaVassaur. They say our biggest fear isn't being inadequate. It's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome back to this week's episode of Wild. What is wild is trying to be a full-time mom and a full-time career woman, I will say, but really a full-time loan officer. I honestly didn't think it could be done. I didn't think it was possible to be a mom full-time. A lot of people would argue that it's not, and work full-time. And the truth is, we can have full-time jobs that we are heavily focused in one spot. And I want to clarify that for a minute. When I am at work, one of the hardest things for me to learn was to actually be at work. When you think about it from 100% commission sales, where you have freedoms and choices that also have consequences, if we're being honest, but we won't talk about that right now, you actually can interact and interchange life, right? Oh, my kid has this. I've got this over here. I'm going to go do this. And what it really boils down to is while you think in your mind, it's really interesting. Hey, I work today. I found myself running the kids around and doing lots of things, 3-4 hours of interruptions, right? At any given time, sometimes a couple hours in a day, sometimes a few hours in a week. Sometimes it was really adding up to a full day of not working. Well, then you have to justify, hey, I'm working late tonight. I'm working weekends. I'm doing all of these other things. And one of the number one things that I really shifted to initially was, hey, I'm going to change this narrative by treating the work that I do like I am an employee. And how would I feel if my employee was taking calls constantly from family members, being interrupted, maybe not getting the work done right on time, having to work nights and weekends and other hours, but really inconsistent during the normal hours? How do you balance it? How do you balance the fact that, yes, the kids I'm a mom of 5 kids for those that you don't know. And so how do you balance the fact that sometimes there's a sports event at 3:00 in the afternoon, and sometimes there's a dentist appointment that happens at 11 a.m. And not only do you need to go get them from school and check them out, but you have to go get them to the dentist and then back to the school. And it's a process. And trust me, when you clean 5 kids' teeth instead of 2 or 1, it's even longer. So I had to build a strategy, and I'm going to use a word that I know is not a real word, and that is everything is figure-outable. And so when I took a step back from what I wanted to achieve and how I wanted to achieve it, I started balancing, one, how much money I truly would make an hour if I was doing full-time focused work at the office as if I was a normal employee with the benefit of commission sales, right? Because that's one of the things. And so I would challenge you to take a minute and take the true number of hours that you work divided by an average of your income. You could do it for last year. You could do it year to date. You could do it from the year before, and literally look at what you are worth per hour. Now, the key is you have to be really honest about the hours that you are working. And I think that sometimes we're like, oh, it never shuts off. It does sometimes. It does shut off, but sometimes it shuts off during hours where it should be on, and you've turned on personal during your work hours. This isn't just in the mom world, if we're being honest. This is in the friendship world, the family world, the extended family world. When I knew I had that flexibility, I offered it up to people, right? Oh, I don't have to be anywhere first thing in the morning. I don't have to do this. Everything's my choice. What a dangerous thing, if we're being honest. There's a reason we like if you gave kids the choice to take a bath every night, we're probably in trouble with bath time, right? If you gave the kids choices about whether or not they'd go to bed, you'd probably be in trouble about bedtime, right? There's a certain age where they're like, hey, I'm making my choices, right? And generally those choices aren't super great, which is why they need oversight. Work is no different, but when you become your own boss, that oversight is really reliant on your own disciplines, your own decisions. So when I think about full-time mom, full-time employee, what I realized was I was trying to do both and blending them all together and then feeling frustrated like neither one was getting all of me. Now hear me, a wise mentor of mine coach at the time said to me, Robyn, I want you to think about this statement. If you are at work, but you're focused on home, the kids, marriage, all of these different things, you're stealing from work. Nope, he didn't say that part. He did not say stealing from work. He actually said you're stealing from home. If you are at home and you are working, you are also stealing from home. Let that sink in for a minute. If you're at work doing personal things, you're stealing from home. If you're at home and you're doing work things, you're stealing from home as well. The last people, including myself, that I ever would want to steal from would be my children and my husband or myself, right? Robbing us of time, joy, energy, things that matter. What did that mean to me? Well, I made a list. I made a list of everything that I wanted to do in my household world. And just so we're clear, I say it all the time and I'm just going to say it again. There are women that are literally incredible full-time in a different sense, meaning with their children during the normal work hours, that people would work. They're with their children and they do an amazing job. I wasn't given that gift. Yes, I could do it. It's not the gift that I wanted to display, right? I really wanted to go to work, and yet I also wanted to be an incredible mom. And it's this dilemma with us because sometimes we trade time, not well-used time, not intentional time, not impactful time, just the measure of time. And we say that that time is what constitutes us working, us being a full-time mom. Well, if I'm sitting in front of my kids and I'm scrolling on my phone, am I really momming? Am I momming that hard during that moment? If I am at work and I'm scrolling on my phone, am I really working? Am I working that hard? If I'm taking a bunch of personal stuff and I'm intermittently doing all of it at work, is that work hours? If I go home and I'm on the phone the whole time or making calls or returning calls and I miss the entire dinner, the cleanup, the setup, the cooking, the conversation, I'm probably not in full-time mom mode. And so here was my commitment to myself. What are the things that I love to do? Did I love to drive the kids to the dentist? The answer was no. This is going to freak you out, and it freaked me out. I thought the measurement of a good mom was the one that did everything. Erase it and say, you do the things that you love the most with your family, with your children, that they love with you at the highest level, right? You're all in at that moment. And so instead, I literally made arrangements for other people to take my children to the dentist. Now, this is just an example, but my kids would go to the dentist, and the dentist and the assistant knew at the end of the appointment, they would come out and there would be an assistant standing there smiling, and they would dial my phone and I would get on knowing that they had to call me at a specific time, and I would hear the rundown on all my kids' teeth. And here's what's funny. Because of that phone call and because I didn't sit in the lobby, the car, the check back in and the check out of school, all of those things, I made it home in time for dinner and I wasn't worried sick about a file that night. And so my time with my children became 10 times more impactful when I started choosing wisely. I'm going to wrap all this in and say, I didn't miss a game. I didn't miss concerts. I didn't miss things that were important to the kids. I was still there. I was just sometimes pacing on my phone during halftime. I wasn't always sitting in the bleachers, right? I sometimes was picking up some hours while I was there, but still cheering on my kids. Now, I have not done everything right in both the working world and the parenting world, and I learn something new every single day. But I'm incredibly grateful for, there's people that I think us women especially say to ourselves, I just don't want to miss anything. And yet, even being there full time, you miss things. You miss things because when you're anywhere for too much time, you take it a little bit for granted, right? That's just generally who we are. And so when everybody asks me, oh, you work full time? How do you do that with kids? Oh, I'm also a mom full time. There's never a moment in my life that I'm not a mom. To this day, if my kids were to text me or knock on the door at this office and say, I need you, my world would stop technically for them. In saying that, there are moments when a client needs me or a realtor needs me, and I am an appropriate place to say to my family, I've got to stop for a minute and go take care of this. And so both can be true, both can be done very well, and both come with a choice of which hard you want to lean into, right? Do I want to lean into missing some things that aren't very important? Or do I want to lean into constant guilt, constant chaos, constant apologies, constant, right? Just self-deprecation over, I needed to be here, but I also need to be here. And instead it was like, which one? I'm here, I'm all here. I'm all in, so that when I need to be here, I can get out the door and go do it. I hope that helps you. Every single one of you, if you are struggling with this as a woman in lending, real estate, reach out to me. I would love to have a conversation with you. There is so much in our own minds that we get messy with on how we do it. And the truth is, you'll design a system that's really right for you and your family and that works and that you feel great about every single day. If this helped you, feel free to share it. I would love that, to get it all across America to all the women out there who are wondering if you can full-time mom and full-time a lot of other things at the same time. We'll see you soon.